From chocolate-eating aliens
to Harry Styles mimicking chameleons.
This week, we're saying farewell to the Sony Spider-Man spin-off films with Alfie Hunter-Martin.
This is The Film Angle.
Welcome to The Film Angle, a podcast where we dive deep into the latest releases and unearth the classics to better our cinephilic curiosity. I'm Alex.
And I'm Kris.
And today, we're joined by Alfie Hunter-Martin. We've brought him back.
Ooh, thanks for having me back.
Welcome, Alfie.
It's literally been a year.
Yes.
Has it been a year?
It's been just over a year, or are we close to the year point?
I think it might actually be more than a year now.
Oh wow, it's been
a
while
year since our greatest episode.
Oh, truly. Yeah, we had you on the Film Angle a year ago to review Madame Web. Are you a self-proclaimed expert, or
Yeah, I consider myself to be the Madame Web fan.
Dr. Web.
Yeah, Dr. Web, yeah. Mr.
So
Web.
I had this fun idea that we could, since they kind of sadly ended last year on a bit of a low note, I thought it'd be fun to maybe just catch up with those Sony Spider-Man spin-off films and rank them and say goodbye to them like they deserve. Yeah, this is a franchise that deserves the recognition as it whimpers off into the night.
Yeah, because it's a strange object in cinema canon. I had a few blind spots coming into this episode that Alex strapped me down and forced me to watch. I think Alfie, you're the same.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Chris went to me the other day. He goes, "Do I have to watch Morbius? Can I just be part of the conversation later?"
Well, it wasn't just that. I was having trouble fitting it into my schedule, but it was actually just me being a little bitch. You know what? I've grown an affection for this series as it's gone on. I think, I was part of the whole superhero fatigue thing at the beginning, but I kind of grown this little affection for the schlockiness of this little mini gargoyle of a franchise. And I think having a couple of degrees of separation and watching them after, the fire is being pissed on by Sony and every single executive producer that doesn't want to touch this thing for any sort of monetary value anymore. I think there's fun to be had here, and I think I'm looking forward to get into it with you guys. Nothing here is a masterpiece, though, right? We can agree that there's no objectively good film in the SSU.
Hold on a minute. Madame Web is in this franchise. You are aware of that?
Oh, yes, sorry. Our resident expert on Madame Web begs to differ.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, though. It's a strangely mediocre quality, but also weird, like somewhat successful, right? Like a lot of the Venom 1 was a big hit, so
yes, of ballooned this franchise into thinking they could, keep doing this, and to just slowly, diminishing returns just slowly got worse and worse. But we'll get into all that. I have a little historical element, so we can, for our audience that doesn't know about the Sony Spider-Man spin-off films or doesn't know why they came to be, I've done some research.
Oh,
but yeah, Alfie, how many films did you have to catch up on for this one then?
I had seen Venom and obviously Madame Web, so I had the two Venom sequels to watch, Morbius and Kraven the Hunter. So it was quite a busy couple of weeks for me.
Yeah, you had the most homework to do there. I think I was just Venom 3 and Kraven, so like the two end of last year kind of films that came out. And literally caught up with Kraven couple nights ago, and I think both of you were last night, so it's still very fresh in your mind.
Yeah, why did we all leave that one last? Just because of time order, or is it like save the best to last?
Chronologically, it came out last,
Yeah,
that's how film nerds work. We have to watch things in order, or else it spins us out.
That's right. Although mine was all over the place. I watched Venom 2, Venom: The Last Dance, Morbius, and then Kraven the Hunter, and obviously I've seen Venom and Madame Web preceding that. So mine is like, I think that's the true order personally. But
I guess Morbius is the outliner because it just does not matter. It's the most inconsequential film ever made. So it doesn't really matter when you watch that one.
No, it's like you're watching a character you're never ever gonna see again.
It's pretty safe.
Pretty safe bet on that one. Brilliant. Well, shall I give you guys a little bit of history then?
Please.
For our audience that maybe is coming to this looking forward to us shitting on these films, but doesn't fully know what these films are about or why they came to be, I thought it would be good to go back in time to find out why these films came to be and why somebody like me, who was a big Spider-Man fan, is baffled at who these films are being made for. Because if I don't want to see them, why does anybody else want to see them? So I don't know. We'll get there. But it all goes back to 1996. Okay,
the year of my birth.
This is the start. This is the start. Kris, Marvel, on your birthday, were not in good shape. They were on the edge of bankruptcy. In fact, they actually filed for bankruptcy. They'd recently kind of merged with a toy company called Toy Biz, which Ike Perlmutter and Avi Arad, who's a big kind of part of these Spider-Man films going forward, he was basically the CEO of Toy Biz, and because of this bankruptcy thing, there was a big kind of fight for executives at the top, and Avi Arad was kind of like one of the top people within Marvel in the late 90s, and because of the financial chaos, they started selling off their film rights. So X-Men went to 20th Century Fox, so did Fantastic Four. Spider-Man and his world went to Sony, and that is how we get, the Sony Spider-Man films. So Avi Arad, comes from a toy-based world. He wants all the films to tie into toys. And we know Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 were like these anomalies. They were amazing. Like, I assume you guys love the Sam Raimi films.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Spider-Man 3, not as loved as Spider-Man 1 and 2, and part of the big thing of this was Avi Arad desperately wanted Venom in there. Sam Raimi did not want Venom in there, but Avi Arad was like, it's going to sell all the toys, you got to put him in there. And what happened was you get a very kind of half-hearted Venom story chucked into what's already quite a bloated Spider-Man film. Though I must say, I kind of like Spider-Man 3. I have a soft spot for it. I don't think it's bad at all. I don't know what you guys think.
I love the Sandman elements of that story. I wish that was the movie for me. But Spider-Man 2, I think everybody agrees, is like the masterpiece of that trilogy. But 3's, it's a bit of a Frankenstein, and you can tell that the pressures around it. But again, it's got a bit of a nostalgic sort of tint to it in a way. It's still got Sam Raimi in it,
It's fun. I love it. I think all the silly Tobey Maguire stuff is just so Peter Parker and what he would think was cool. I love it. I love it as a Spider-Man fan.
It's very Sam Raimi, isn't it? Like that kind of weird, irreverent tone. I remember it being a huge deal. Like it was just one of the most marketed films, and it was like obviously you don't have films like that, but like blockbuster level, just like posters everywhere, video games. It was just relentless. And no, I mean I have a soft spot for it. Like you say, Kris. I mean it's the weakest of the three, I'd say, probably, but I don't think it's like maybe as bad as it was kind of deemed to be when it first came out. Maybe like it had a bit of a backlash, didn't it? So
yeah, not at all. And actually, considering Sam Raimi didn't want to put Venom in it, the actual Venom storyline, other than the fact that Eddie Brock is not like this bodybuilder, which he is in the comics, and obviously he isn't either in the Sony Spider-Man spin-off films. But like, it's actually quite accurate to the comics, and maybe more so the 90s TV show, which was obviously a big kind of push from like Toy Biz, like the X-Men shows and the Spider-Man 90s cartoons were all kind of like to sell toys. But those, I haven't actually seen a lot of the X-Men show, so I can't say much for that. But the 90s Spider-Man show was how I got into Spider-Man. I love that show.
Yeah, me too. That was the. Can I swear on it? I can't remember.
Yeah, you can swear on it.
that was the shit.
It was the shit. It was the shit. I really hope there's always rumors, because they brought back X-Men.
They did X-Men, didn't they? Yeah.
They've like rebooted it, and
that's right. Yeah.
and I really hope they do the same for the 90s Spider-Man show, because kind of left on a bit of a cliffhanger, and Mary Jane was still she'd been sucked into a portal at some point. I don't know. It was quite sad at one point.
She's still in that portal.
She's still in that portal. So she comes back, all right? She comes back. And we all think happy families, Mary Jane's back. Turns out she's a clone, and she's made of water.
That's creepy.
Yeah, right? There's a really sad moment where she kind of gets she fizzles away into a puddle way. It's all to do with Hydro Man and stuff like that.
Oh, mad.
And Spider-Man's there like, Mary Jane!
Oh, I think, I've seen that before.
That's so familiar, yeah.
That's turned into a bit of a meme, that scene, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
But actually, it kind of brings me to tears, because I'm like, this is a heartbreaking moment, and like the voice acting is painful. It's painful.
I need to go back and rewatch that, because that's on Disney Plus now, and I watched episodes of it when I was a kid, and I remember it being really awesome. Like, I know I was a kid, so I was fucking dumb, and everything was awesome to me. But I remember that just being of a quality. And I did watch episodes of the X-Men show too, and it was very similar in turn. But that 90s aesthetic is so good looking. I love the way those cartoons look.
Cool 90s cartoons, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man PS1 games were like my kind of like intro to Spider-Man, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, was it via Activision, I think, or someone like that made them?
Yeah, Activision were a big part. Yeah,
you just swing in like nothing. It was like foggy skies. You just like weren't even connecting to buildings. It was great.
I think they hadn't worked that element out of like how they could put that into a video game yet. So they made it a story they made it a storyline beat that like Doc Ock released like poisonous gas into the city.
That's right. Yeah.
Fell on the ground, you just instant died. Yeah, it was awesome.
And I'm pretty sure Venom was in that, but like that was my introduction to the sort of that in the cartoon. That's a tangent. There you go.
No, of course.
Spider-Man, hey.
He's been done well. He's been done badly. And obviously, after Spider-Man 3, they wanted to make Spider-Man 4 because it was at the time one of the biggest films of all time. And they were in development on it, and Sam Raimi was just getting burnt out. Like, obviously, everybody had an opinion now that it was making so much money, and he had already kind of been burnt by the Venom thing. So he decides to leave, and therefore Tobey Maguire decides to leave. So Sony say, fine, we're rebooting this character. And part of the rules for Sony having the character of Spider-Man meant that they had to make a Spider-Man film like every 5 or 6 years, I think, in order to keep the rights. So there's quite a quick turnaround between Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 3, and then them casting Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker for The Amazing Spider-Man, which was their attempt at kind of making a dark, edgy, cool Spider-Man. Which I really like Andrew Garfield, but I'm not in love with that first Amazing Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
It's so early 2010, isn't it? It's just got that kind of...
It is, right? It has that look to it. But I remember like, it's Riz Ifans they have playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll make a comeback later on.
Yeah, exactly. We might be talking about him later on in the show. But like they try to do the same thing that they did with Doc Ock and Spider-Man 2 of that character in terms of trying to make him a 3-dimensional tragic villain. And it just felt like it just felt phoned in. It didn't feel quite right watching that
really did.
Well, I guess I can't remember the name of the actor in the Raimi films, but obviously there was a Doc Connors moving forward in those films. Yeah, who is that guy?
Dylan Baker. Dylan Baker.
There you go. Yeah. So Dylan Baker's in those films, and I definitely felt like they were leading towards something with him.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where Sony went and brought in the Lizard. And to be honest, like it makes sense. He's quite an interesting villain, but yeah, it's just a bit of a nothing film. And around this time, you've got all the Avengers and the MCU stuff kicking off, and everybody wanted to make a universe. Like everybody wanted a universe of characters, and obviously Sony had Spider-Man. And Sony's not the biggest of studios, so they don't have as much money as like Disney and Paramount and all this kind of thing. So they were like, we have to capitalize on Spider-Man. So in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I actually prefer to The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and also have a bit of a soft spot for, but widely panned as being awful. Basically, they stuff in another like 2 to 3 villains: Electro, Green Goblin Jr. and the Rhino, and then teased at the very end like vulture wings, Doc Ock arms. Like they were building towards this idea that they were going to have like the Sinister Six at some point, which is, I assume you both know who the Sinister Six are. But for people who aren't as much of a nerd as me, it's just like 6 of Spider-Man's villains team up every now and then to take him down, and it doesn't usually work, obviously. So they were desperate to have a Sinister Six film in this kind of universe for the Sony Spider-Man films, but that all kind of fell apart when The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did not do very well, and then around this time in 2014. This was when, what was the, I should have written this down in the notes, but the Seth Rogen and James Franco film when they try to kill Kim Jong-un.
The Interview.
Yes. The Interview, that's it. So the Interview was coming out, and North Korea was not very happy with it, and allegedly did a lot of hacking of Sony systems and leaked a bunch of these emails. And you can see in these emails how Sony had been scrambling to try capitalize on the Spider-Man characters. They wanted a Sinister Six film directed by Drew Goddard. They wanted a Venom film. They wanted The Amazing Spider-Man 3 where he brings back Gwen Stacy to life and his parents are alive and all this kind of stuff. And they wanted an Aunt May solo film where she's a spy. It's a prequel.
Who was Aunt May in that universe?
That was Sally.
Was that Sally Field?
Sally Field. Oh. Yeah. So I'd watch a Sally Field spy film, but I don't know really to me. On May for me to watch it, but there you go.
They were also desperate for Tom Hardy to be Sandman. That was like one of the big things, was they wanted the Sinister Six film to end with Tom Hardy, Sandman.
I mean, I get
like
it.
The size of a skyscraper and destroying cities and stuff like that. That was like their big thing. They just wanted this.
Clearly, they only see Tom Hardy as a blue collar guy.
And there was also a lot of emails between Amy Pascal, who was like head of Sony at the time, and Kevin Feige, where Kevin Feige was basically just like, please just give us Spider-Man. And he had like given notes on The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think there were comments about like, why is Peter Parker crying all the time? Like there's some really like quite funny stuff in there. But yeah, basically the whole universe building from that point on just kind of fell apart, and Sony obviously lost money because of the leaks, and it was not great. Like obviously nobody should get their stuff hacked, but it kind of saw just how kind of funny the behind the scenes of this business was. So they ended up then giving Spider-Man, or at least brokering a deal to have Spider-Man in the Marvel films, and they get some of the profit and they get to use them in the Avengers and stuff like that. So they decided, we'll keep that separate and we'll create the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters, SPUMC. Some people might call it the Sony Spider-Man universe, SSU, but we like to call it SPUMC. So
you like to call it SPUMC.
They thought they'd test the waters with Venom, which was, I guess, a pretty well done thing. Of Tom Hardy was a major star at the time. Venom, I guess, was a hot topic favorite, wasn't he? Like anybody would have like a black Spider-Man t-shirt on, and it was kind of like Venom was cool, it was edgy, it was cool. So they got together 2018 to make the Venom film, which made over $1 billion, I believe. I actually saw it in Showcase when we were working there, Alfie.
I saw it there too.
Did you see it in the cinema?
Yeah, I did. Use my free tickets for that one. Yeah,
so did I.
You me.
I thought it was terrible, but we'll get into that later. But because that had $1 billion attached to it, it obviously kind of bankrolled this idea of them doing these spin-off films. And the ones that got made in the end were, Madame Web, of all things.
Yeah.
Kraven the Hunter, Morbius, and obviously the other 2 Venom films. But there were talks at a time of having Black Cat and Sable team up in a film. I still think the Aunt May thing was pushed around as a possibility for a while. And then obviously it's all kind of like linked together of like, is Spider-Man ever going to turn up in these films? And I think there were all kinds of rumors that at some point they might recast and have their own Sony Spider-Man who pops into these films, or maybe it would be Andrew Garfield. Nobody really knew. Even when they were making the films, they didn't know. And yes, what happened was you kind of get these like half-hearted attempts at these Sony villains also being more anti-hero based. Nothing to do with Spider-Man, but every now and then there's like a little link, you know.
There was another film they announced, and it was the singer Bad Bunny was supposed to be in it, and I think he played a musician. He even came out at like a conference, like a Comic-Con style thing, and was like, I'm playing this character. I think it's called El Muerto, who I don't even know.
That's it. He's like he's in like 2 comics, I swear.
Yeah.
But he's like a wrestler or something, I believe.
So if this universe still existed, that was to be the next film, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that one.
Everybody queuing up to see El Muerto.
I know, yeah. To be fair, Bad Bunny, I think, is one of the biggest musicians in the world. But I don't know if he's got a crossover appeal, you know, to be like to carry a.
That was the idea, I think. It was just like, he's huge. He was like number 1 on Spotify for like a couple years in a row, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he was like this huge global success, even though not so much in kind of like English-speaking countries. Like here and in the States, he wasn't as big as he was.
No, he's big, particularly with Spanish-speaking countries, isn't it? Like Latin countries and stuff.
Yeah. So I guess they wanted the international box office there. But obviously each of these films and just slowly just died, you know, not making the money, and you can see kind of the effects of, I guess, like COVID and maybe the strikes kind of pushing things around with like Madame Web and Kraven, and basically just slowly they started making less and less money to where we are now, where Kraven released on the same week they announced they weren't making any of these films.
Yeah, here, have it.
So and that's where I thought, you know, it's time to say goodbye. So
rest in peace.
That's kind of the history behind how these films came to be. It's a long-standing thing of Sony just desperately trying to make something work with Spider-Man. And I guess it's also kind of part of the deal of they have to make these as well in order to keep the rights. I don't know how it now works with Marvel. They had a falling out at one point after Far From Home, but were able to save it for No Way Home. And obviously they also have the animated Spider-Verse films as well, which are excellent.
Of course.
So,
yeah,
you know, you get some gold and you get some trash.
I mean, does this sort of prove like all this shit happening with like canon breaking and like mending of canon? Like, does it prove that it doesn't really matter to most people? I mean, I've kind of watching Kraven the other night. We'll get into it, but I'm like, maybe like when these films are caring less, they're more fun about that, you know. I don't know if you guys agree with that in any sort of way, but
I'm not like a deep lore guy. Like, I'm not like deeply like, oh, I have to like that's a connection to that, which is one of the reasons why I really struggle with Marvel now, because it feels like you have to do homework to watch the films, you know. Like I just want to watch a contained movie and go. So I quite enjoy that these are just standalone to that, you know.
The whole origin stories.
I mean, well, when we get into the actual films, but I found it quite amazing how you could just put Venom 2 on and it didn't really need to have watched Venom 1 really to kind of be like, oh yeah, I know what's going on here.
They've got like a very like early 2000s feel about them.
Dude, that's what I love about them, I think.
Yeah, and there's an element of that. I appreciate what you were saying there, Chris, of like it doesn't really matter. But I think in a way, even though it doesn't matter to the general audience,
sure,
I think it matters to the superhero genre overall, because even though we know these aren't connected to the MCU, not everybody knows that. And I think because you have these films being pretty terrible, and some of the later DC films also being pretty terrible, it's just created this whole air now of like, just done with superhero films.
So you're saying there's a large portion of the audience that might assume, you know, that aren't researching these movies, are going to turn up just to see the movies whenever they come out, that are assuming that these are all part of the same umbrella of like manufacturing, like it's the same, like almost like a company making the same movies, like they're all making the same stuff.
Well, even some of the actors thought they were in MCU films, you know.
That's crazy. They got so many great actors, isn't it?
Well, it's crazy. It's like the last 2 years I've just started to realize, since actors have started doing Letterboxd top 4s and talking about favorite movies on the daily, I started to realize that a lot of actors don't watch movies.
Yeah, you can feel that, can't you?
It's understandable. But yeah, you sometimes take that for granted. You assume that everybody's going to be like yourself, go on a Wikipedia page before and after you see every film. That's like a chronic symptom of just being of going to the movies. But yeah, I guess not everybody's like that, and it's a company's almost responsibility to kind of try to navigate that. And it just feels like what you said earlier on, Alex, that these SSU films or SPUMC films are sort of just like shrouded with this sense of like, I don't know where we're going with this. We've got sort of a grain of an idea, so like we'll put it in there, and if it takes off, it takes off. I mean, success is like our second priority here. We're just trying to get the movie onto the screen.
I think other than like Marvel now being able to probably use some of these characters because they're not held up by Sony, I don't think they would be exactly celebrating these films being bad, because I just think it hurts the genre overall. Like, everybody hates superhero films. Like, if these were good and they were creating some buzz, it's only going to pay off like for the other superhero films that follow it. So that's how I feel. But yeah, I imagine the days of like Marvel versus DC are like long gone. It's kind of like, no, we need them all to be good, please.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I feel like that is what's happening, where we're getting like 4 consecutive bad films, and then one will come out of the woodwork and be quite good, and then that'll be like enough to keep the pulse going. And I think that was really the case with Guardians 3 the other year, where I felt like I came out of a really bad period, and then so everybody said, "Oh, James Gunn's bringing back superhero movies again," and then that gives it another year's life again, and then the cycle's kind of continuing. It's kind of a horrible cycle, though, right?
Oh yeah. Well, when you've got this sort of stuff, like the SPUMC films and the DCEU films as well, like they're just kind of flooding the market, aren't they, with like kind of movies of diminishing returns.
I will say, give me an Aquaman movie every year for the rest of my life. I will be there.
Okay. James Wan, he does. I mean, he wanted to do some weird spin-off where it was like a kind of horror film, didn't he?
He just wanted to do The Trench.
Where that's right.
Zombie fish.
Was that supposed to be a series, or was it just a movie?
Was it a series? I don't know. I remember that. That was one of those ones where they were like, really? You okay? Like, sure. Like, I mean, I'd have watched it because it sounds cool, but like, I don't get it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Do you think like that, like, people have been sort of mismarketed the Sony the SPUMC films to a degree, that like that they're not Marvel films, but they are, but not like it's I don't know. That's what I kept thinking when I was watching them, is just like these feel kind of like mockbusters, but like the most expensive mockbusters you could watch. Like,
yeah. And that's kind of where I think they probably should have gone with these. Like, I think they should have been like the B movie, silly. Like, James Wan would have been the perfect director for one of these films, because he kind of understood it with Aquaman. He was like, this is silly, and we should treat it like it's silly, and have octopuses playing drums and doing silly things. Like, I think when these films are silly, it works. Like,
sure.
I agree with that.
And we'll get into that, because I think
Julie Andrews famously not being able to do Mary Poppins Returns because she got to play a Kraken in Aquaman.
Yeah.
What a world.
I'm glad she listened to her agent on that one. That was a good choice.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's famously, Dakota Johnson's agent got fired immediately after the Madame Web trailer came out.
Yeah, not even the film, just the trailer. So
it felt fine on set. Everything felt like we had a masterpiece on our hands.
All right, guys. Well, we've gone into the history. Shall we rank these films? Worst to best, I think, is probably the best way to do it.
Worst to best, okay. Yeah.
Best is used loosely.
Worst to least worst.
Worst to least worst, absolutely. Time to rank the SPUMC films.
Okay.
Are you ready? So there's not actually that many films in this universe. There's only 6, and 3 of them are Venom films.
Which I was super surprised at. Before the show, I was saying to Alfie, I was like, I thought there was going to be like 12 of these movies, and I was going to have to spend my entire weekend watching these films. And then I was really so pleasantly surprised that I only had to watch 2. So yeah, lucky us.
Relief, yeah. And they're also quite short. A lot of them are, aren't they? So that's
yes,
good.
I very much appreciated how short they were.
Yeah,
that's something to be said there. Okay, so number 6. What's everybody's number 6 film in the SSU?
I'm going to say really quickly, I think this is the one that is going to be unanimous. Maybe? No? Okay.
I don't know.
Because I think this is a very subjective list because it's less quality and more it's appeal to tastes.
Okay.
But okay, well I'm just going to say my first one. My first pick was Madame Web for number 6.
Okay.
Oh.
That is not mine.
No, okay.
No.
Mine is Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. That's my least favorite out of these films.
This is going to be interesting.
Right.
Mine is Kraven the Hunter, and I don't know if
Whoa.
it's a recency bias for me, but yeah, that was the last one I watched. So yeah, fresh in my mind.
Fresh in your mind.
Yeah, no consensus there.
No consensus. It makes me wonder whether we move on to number 5 to then find if there's a combined film that we should talk about first, or
I just want to know. I guess I want to know why are they so awful? Both of those picks that you guys chose.
That's very true. That's very true.
What makes them so abhorrent that they're number 6?
For me, there's at least 2 of the Venom films I don't like, and for this one, I think the reason I like it the least is because it's the most boring. Venom 1 and Venom 2 try so hard to be a Spider-Man film, like they're taking like Spider-Man mythology and trying to do it without Spider-Man. And then you've got all this edginess of like, oh, it's Carnage, but he's just like a red version of Venom. And I found the whole experience.
He's red.
He's red. I just found the whole experience completely dull in what could have been like a relatively cool film. But it doesn't know what it wants to be. This is the film that completely is just like, I don't know if I want to be silly. I don't know if I want to be edgy. None of it works for me. I guess like this is where the comic book nerd in me comes out. I'm just like, this is almost offensive to
my religion,
to the comic book material that it was based on. I just couldn't get behind this film at all. And it's the one that I have no lasting memory of. I had to go and watch a recap, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that happened." And yeah, I was completely out of this film. The silliness is not silly enough to make it fun, and the edginess is just not there. That it's just not cool for me. So I don't like Venom. Let There Be Carnage.
Well, it's funny though. Like a Marvel movie that recently came out marketed itself on basically the fact that you should see the film is because somebody turns red at the end. This has that and more, so it's it's already better than that. I get it.
The premise of a symbiote taking on a serial killer as its host is quite cool. I must say as well, I don't really love Venom stuff in the comics either. He's not my favorite villain. So like there's just a lot of stuff going on there. I was just like, this is not anything close to being good. And I think Carnage is quite a loved character within the Venom world and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought like they just there was no service to it being any good at all, really.
I always thought Carnage was cool, but I genuinely think I thought he was cool because he was red. Like, like as a child, I was like, he's red. So that's cool. That looks cool.
You were talking about the PS1 Spider-Man game earlier on.
Exactly.
And Carnage is like the final boss, and he's like scary in that game.
Man,
really scary.
Yeah, he's got some great moments. He's in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game as well. And I think in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game, he is Uncle Ben's killer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Like the
twist.
guy, because he doesn't find him in the Amazing Spider-Man films. Like he hunts this guy down, he never finds him.
Oh,
and
that's
then in
right,
the games, they're like, it was Cletus Cassidy and he has the symbiote.
I miss movie tie-in games where they just give you like shit, like they just go off the rails and they just make up their own lore. It's brilliant.
It was kind of cool in a way.
To that point, Spider-Man 2's like the original Spider-Man 2 game was fucking amazing.
Yeah, Rhino's in that. You fight Rhino. Did you fight Rhino in that one?
Yeah, I'm sure Rhino was in that one. Yeah. It was the first one you could go on like the ground as well. It was like free roaming. It was like
it was groundbreaking for the time. Wasn't it? It's the foundation of even the new games. So they all play like that. Yeah.
100%.
Right. Shall I explain why I put Kraven the Hunter at the bottom of
Please
my
do.
list?
Yeah, because I wonder if the recency bias made him higher up in my list. So I'm interested to know.
Well, I'll say this. It was directed by J.C. Chandor, who made a movie that I really love. called The Most Violent Year, which came out.
That's the crazy thing, right? Yeah.
Yes, I love that film. I watched that at uni. I remember being like, this is a great film, and keeping an eye on that guy he's done nothing. He did an action film for Netflix and he's done this. And I'm just sort of like, oh man, like what happened? Like that was such a great little film. And then I don't know, I found myself really struggling with the pacing for Kraven the Hunter. You have this little epilogue where he goes into a prison, kills that guy, and then it cuts to this sort of this narrative building flashback. And I was just really struggling to find a narrative. Like he meets this lawyer that gave him the potion, and I was just like it's so stupid. Yeah, I mean, these are all like if you sat here and
Calypso,
Calypso. Sorry, yeah,
it is the start of the film. Actually, the first half of the film was like pick a lane.
It's an hour. It's an hour before anything happens in this film. It's crazy. It's like he goes and meets his brother. His brother gets kidnapped because he decides to go for a walk, which is just. Like, and it's like it's night when he leaves, and it's like 8 a.m. when he gets back. It's like, of course something's gonna happen if your brother's like. It's just, oh man, I was just getting angry watching it. Like,
it was very funny watching Morbius and this back to back, where both movies start with a backflash scene of them as kids, in some sort of like institution.
Yeah, this one was the most Morbius-esque for me, and my theory on this is that there's two halves to the SPUMC universe, which is there's two halves. Two halves to SPUMC.
Oh dear.
Unfortunate choice of words. There is the kind of boring, plodding, meandering tone, which I think is, Morbius is a good example of that, and I think Kraven the Hunter had that as well. And then there's the weird kind of just batshit, like what the hell is going on tone, which is like Venom 3, for example. Like and it's just like they, like you say, pick a lane. Like Kraven the Hunter stuck to, we're just going to be really boring for like 2 hours, basically. Like
with a sprinkle of weirdness every now and then. You're like, wait, what? Did that guy just screech?
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that guy was weird. That was the Rhino, right? Yeah.
That was the Rhino.
He was really bad in that film. Like,
he was so good in The Brutalist.
I haven't seen that. Oh man, I need to watch The Brutalist. I can't be that.
What a year.
Oh, it is him. It's his like cousin brother guy, right?
The guy who owns the furniture store.
Oh my goodness! He's so different in The Brutalist.
It dawned on me I've watched 4 films this year, and 3 of them are Sony Spider-Man universe movies.
We're so sorry.
Yeah.
He'll never watch a movie ever again.
No. So imagine never having seen a film and this was what you saw. You'd be like, I'm good. Like,
yeah.
If this is what films are, I don't want a part of it.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it was really that. I feel like it showed the worst aspects of it. The ADR was particularly bad. There's a bit where Calypso was sort of like, she's saying something. I can't remember what it was, some nonsense, and she's literally walking away from the camera as she said it. And it sounded like she was in that. Yeah, she sounded like she was in a completely different room. Like it was just like, all right, okay.
It's when we're introduced to the childhood version of her, the beginning of the story, when they're underneath the tent, her is it I forget who the character is.
Gran, I think.
Grandmother,
yeah. And it's like, I felt like that character was entirely done for voiceover. Like the lips, it was straight. She sounded like a video game character. It was really odd.
She really did.
It was like some stilted background NPC dialogue. It was really weird.
Was so funny. There was a line in the film as well, which was where I literally was like, turn this film off. Like I didn't. I finished it because I persevered for the podcast. But it's towards the end when he's been killed by the guy that has the worst superpower ever.
The foreigner.
The foreigner, yeah. Where he goes, he takes off his glasses and goes, one.
Yeah.
2. Yeah. And they were like, there's no way to make that visually cool. Like, by the way, like,
and it's Christopher Abbott, isn't it? Christopher Abbott
from Girls.
Yes.
Yeah, and like I can't believe the kind of talent they have in this film, but it's fine.
Russell Crowe's in this film. Lest we forget.
I will say, I think Crowe brings enough. I don't know what accent that is. Like he's basically just walked off the set for Thor: Love and Thunder and just doing the same thing, but except with like the beard and everything. He's
also the most like Kraven in that film. So like Kraven is a gang leader.
Sure.
He does hunt big game.
Yeah.
Like, he's not an anti-hero. He's a bad dude.
Yeah.
I guess he has his little anti-hero moments, but I won't get into the minutiae of it all. He's more like Russell Crowe than Aaron Taylor Johnson is.
Maybe it's that kind of thing like in Skyfall, where they had Albert Finney playing James Bond's like care.
Oh yeah,
because it was like I imagined like, he could have been Bond at a point. Like,
yes.
Russell Crowe could have been Kraven the Hunter if this movie came out in 1996, which is when it should have come out. Because it feels about that level of quality. No, the line was, she said, "Legends never die," as she gave Kraven the rest of her potion that she had. And I was just like, you can't make a claim like that in a film like this. You can't call yourself a legend at that. You've not earned that. I'm sorry, but
he's the hunter, Alfie. He's the hunter.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, he is, isn't he? Yes. So that was for me. That was that placed it firmly at the bottom.
A moment. Actually, it's the first time Aaron Taylor Johnson and Ariana DeBose meet at the funeral.
Oh yeah,
and she's big lawyer, doing all the kind of like, the killers are on the loose kind of thing. And they have this like conversation that feels like it was written by a 5-year-old, and it's so weird. It's like so stilted, and you've got these two actors who are good in their own right, but just with what they're working with cannot make it work. And the whole film, and that's why I like it as well, it feels like it was written by 3 different like people, all with a different idea. You had the person who was making like the serious Marvel hunter movie with the edgy kind of like assassin who can talk to animals or whatever that power was that they added in for some reason. Then you have like, this is ridiculously silly and goofy, and we're gonna do silly and goofy things in this. And then you just had like this weird stilted, like over dramatic comedy at times. Like when he's in the lift and he's like, "What do you do for work?" "I'm a hunter. I hunt people." And it's played for laughs, and it doesn't work.
It just doesn't work, does it?
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
he's like, that guy was never going to hold the lift for him.
No.
It was right.
No,
it was great. Oh, he throws the knife, doesn't he? He's like, "It's my work knife." Yeah, I know. They tried to do those like Marvel quips. The whole time I was watching, I was just like, "There goes his chance of being Bond." Like, I was just like, "What have you done?
Yeah.
What have you done?"
Yeah.
But
it's higher up on my list because I kind of like the silliness of the film. Maybe I should say why I like bits of the film for when I talk about it later. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess I'm holding back a little bit there too.
Cool. Well, so yours was Madame Web, though. I just wanted to clarify that was what you said was your bottom film.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us are putting our bottom. The commonality is boredom.
Yeah.
Which is attributed to half of this list, but I find the most severe level of boredom when watching Madame Web from my IMAX seat in all of its glory.
That might be why.
Its entire hideousness. I think the lore stuff is the worst in this movie at all. I think the lore is just so dull. The Spider-Man adjacent, tribal origin stuff. I find it almost like I checked out completely during those scenes. I felt like when we went back to the jungle later on, I was like, crap, like here I am for 20 minutes of expo, and that's exactly what happened. And yeah, like the movie is the king of this whole franchise of belonging in the mid 2000s, but it is like one of those anomalies from like 2003 that people will bring up in like a bargain bin every so often, be like, "Do you remember that movie?" That was like, "Yeah, that was fucking weird." That's what this movie kind of feels like to me. All the performances are super stilted, but just to a level like of head scratching, less than laughter, which is what I got from nearly every other film on this list. Is where I could get some joy out of the jankiness and the silliness. Here it was just like, oh god, I just feel sorry for everybody. So those are my overt feelings towards Madame Web. It's an interesting artifact.
Well, I will spoil my number 5 so we can talk about it more. But my number 5 is Madame Web.
Yeah, we'll lean into that then. Yeah, sure.
We'll lean into it for that reason, because I think it is one of the most boring films, but it has some of the goofy moments and the moments where you're like, I can't believe they released this.
Yes.
Which for me is like, those are the bits I love, is the weird ADR and the janky computer graphics and the, you know, her
terrible worst villain.
Terrible villain. The you know, all the trying to be Spider-Man tie-ins at the end, and the blind stuff at the end as well. Just like, it's so stupid that I can't believe they got away with actually allowing that film to release in cinemas and being proud of it. Maybe not proud of it.
Some of the worst costume designing is like, how do we do indigenous spider people? I guess we just like wrap them in vines that look kind of like webs. It's the worst bit of costume design I've ever seen.
It is. Do you know, I have a weird soft spot. Maybe it's because it's tied up in good memories of coming on the podcast and, you know.
That's very sweet of you, Alfie.
Ragging on it. So maybe it's that, because the time I saw it in the cinema was a negative experience. But, it has an endearing like crappiness to me that, like, again, a lot of these films have that, and I think Morbius, Madame Web, and Kraven the Hunter are the three that are like the most representative of that. Just like, they did not know what to do with those films, and for me, Madame Web for some reason is just funny, so it's not my number 5. I'll share my number 5. It's Morbius.
Go. Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. And Chris, what was your number 5 out of interest as well?
So Alex, you'll like this. It is Venom, That There Be Carnage, for similar reasons to you, but I'll let Alfie discuss his pick first.
Cool.
Yeah, okay, I'll jump into Morbius a little bit. I mean, I had not seen this. It's been memed like to oblivion, so I was like, oh yeah, this will probably be quite fun. And no, it was not. I was sorely disappointed. There's no "it's Morbin time" dialogue.
I was waiting for "it's Morbin time." I was disappointed
really
too.
Yeah. I mean, it did make more $1 billion, didn't it? So it's obviously a successful film. But I really hated this. I really struggled with this one, and I think probably had I seen this one last, it would have been the bottom of my list.
Sure.
For much the same reason as Kraven the Hunter, it just doesn't know what it wants to do. It's exceedingly boring, but it's mercifully short. Like it.
Yes, it's like straight up 90 minutes, right?
It really is. Yeah, this one really has like a 2000s like crap psychological thriller horror vibe about it, with the kind of like there's just there's the bats and stuff. Do you remember the bats? Like, that was stupid, wasn't it? Like he's just got a chamber full of bats, and he's like, yeah, I got those in Puerto Rico.
He goes up and he gives him a stroke every so often. Yeah.
I wrote down 2 lines from this film because it just really made me laugh. But it was because Jared Leto, Morbius, writes a diary throughout the film. And like after he takes the bat blood on the cargo ship and then turns into a living vampire, which is like, I think all vampires are living, aren't they? I don't know, but anyway. He writes in his diary, "I have an overwhelming urge to consume blood." There's a pause. Human blood. and then he sighs. Yeah, he sighs afterwards. Like I was just like, this is awful, isn't it? Like I don't know. Matt Smith is in it as well, and he's maybe having the most fun in that film with his dance and stuff. And
he's famously one of the actors who thought he was in a real Marvel film.
He was, because he was talked into it by Karen Gillan, right?
Yes,
he went to her for like, is it worth doing? And she was like, not knowing.
Come join the Marvel. So Morbius.
Anyone familiar with that?
The whole diary thing, Alfie, is so funny. I think there's one line that really stuck with me, when he's self-narrating, is like, when he's talking about getting his new abilities, and he's got this montage of him getting used to everything, and he says to himself, "I've developed a form of echolocation, bat radar for the uninitiated." It's just like a complete like mistrust of the audience intelligence they don't know what the word echolocation is. But it's a lot of fun for that reason.
It is, it's a really messy film though, and it just like we talked about, like the hokey kind of cramming in sort of Michael Keaton at the end, who clearly doesn't know what he's doing on the set, and he's in a jail cell, and then he's like, I'm putting together a team, and it's like the Nick
and it's
Fury
got something
moment.
to do with Spider-Man.
Yeah. And Morbius is just like, I'm in. Like, he doesn't question it that he's confronted. Also, he just kind of like, he completely embraces just being evil so quickly. Morbius, he's just like kills his girlfriend, or like doesn't kill her, but drains her blood, kills Matt Smith, and then he's like, I'm a evil vampire now. That's it. Like, you know, despite the fact that he's trying to be good throughout the film. And yeah, I don't know. I just it had the same logic problems that Kraven the Hunter had for me, and maybe the least amount of just insanity based on the meme culture of the film. I really wanted it to be weirder, you know.
Which allowed the film to bomb twice.
I love that.
They released the film, it didn't do very well, and then it became a meme, and Sony were like, "Oh, we need to capitalize on this." Like everybody's saying, "It's Morbin time," so they re-released it in cinemas only for it to fail again.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Oh,
which maybe just gives you a bit of insight as to why these films just didn't work, because there's not really anybody within Sony who felt like really had their like finger on the pulse.
Oh, I love it when a corporate company is just like, yeah, we can be cool too, and just does not work.
They think they're in on the joke, but they're very much not.
Kill the joke. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, so that's why Morbius is number 5 for me.
Fairly justified.
Morbius is slightly higher up for me. So maybe I'll say why I like certain elements of that film later. But but for why it's bad, like it is just inherently boring. But I do wonder if it is one of the more competently made films on this list. I think it feels. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I didn't remember it being as messy as like a Madame Web, or maybe as silly as some of the Kraven moments that are kind of plastered throughout.
Yeah, it's a lot more morose. It's got it's not very funny or anything. It tries to kind of stick a sort of tone, doesn't it? Like,
yeah,
I think you're right. It's directed by another quite interesting filmmaker, as I recall. But
this is the thing. Like, even like Venom, Let There Be Carnage was Andy Serkis. You know, what I mean, like these are all filmmakers who have done well in the past. Morbius was Daniel Espinosa.
Yeah, he did Life, didn't he? Yeah,
Safe House, Child 44.
My dad really liked Life. I don't like that movie. Yeah,
I liked Life. I liked Life.
It's like a kind of
alien wannabe, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like a prequel to Venom. There's like a symbiote alien, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
And he's worked with Tom Hardy twice. Maybe he should have made the Venom films.
Yeah, it might have been a better shout.
Chris, do you want to say why you didn't like Venom Let There Be Carnage?
Yeah,
since it's your number 5.
Yeah, I'll just really quickly, because this is I think, even though I saw Venom the first one first, I think I saw Venom a second time, so that makes Let There Be Carnage the longest gap I've for any of these movies that I've seen. So don't remember a lot. I remembered Serkis's direction actually being kind of a real stickler for me. Like the movie, I remember the whole movie just looking like one big close up. And it was really like, there was no sort of sense of scale, or just kind of like you're watching a movie. It looked a lot like a TV show. It's higher than Madame Web, though, because I do think there are elements of it trying to be fun. I think if you have Woody Harrelson, you know, with a toupee on, you know, that's kind of funny. And you got some interesting performances in there. But yeah, I think it starts to kind of lean into the goofier side of the Venom and Eddie Brock relationship a little bit more, with the whole, like, you know, the disco stuff, and like, yeah, kind of, it's hammy, but like I feel like it's nowhere near as offensive as anything I saw in Madame Web in terms of just sheer boredom. Like it was very lean and very very kind in terms of like suscepting me to its runtime. So yeah, like going off of memory, it's pretty low, but Madame Web sticks out a lot more for being just dull.
Yeah, fair enough. That's justified, I'd say. Yeah,
I think I was too still in my comic book superhero era to allow myself to be taken by the goofiness of the Venom Tom Hardy relationship. I was still like, they've ruined Venom.
It took me actually a couple of years for me to even warm up to that relationship at all. Like initially when I first watched those two movies and saw the back and forth that they were trying to achieve with the humor, it like really like annoyed me. I just I found it just kind of really try hard. And then, you know, later on we might discuss why maybe that might have eroded me in terms in some sort of way, and maybe smoothed my brain over time.
So have you guys, like, both of you, not watched, did you say that you've not seen this one since you saw it in cinemas, kind of? Is that
I didn't see it in cinema, but yes, I saw it not long after it came out, I don't think.
I'm the same, yeah.
I refused after watching the first Venom to ever go see one of these in the cinema again.
Yeah, no, I don't know why I assumed you went to the cinema. I'm looking at the box office. There's no way that you did.
But funnily enough, I guess there are only 2 films on this list that I saw in the cinema, which was Venom and Madame Web.
Same here actually. Yeah.
No,
I was quite interested that it's been, effectively about 4 or so years since you watched Venom Let There Be Carnage, and maybe Venom 1 as well, I suppose. So that's because I've seen all of these basically in a couple of weeks. So
that's what we're saying. Like we thought this whole universe was a lot more expansive, and then we quickly realized that half the universe came out last year, which is really odd considering that's it feels like Madame Web was the death at the very early stages, but this body just had infinite amounts of blood that didn't bleed out. Now it finally is drained.
Yeah, much to Morbius's delight.
Yes,
he'd love that, wouldn't he? No, it feels like they the fact that they just dropped all 3 of them in a year is kind of like all right, fuck it, just sell off the assets, because they could have had a tax write-off, couldn't they? And we would have been spared not being able to watch all of these great films. So lucky us.
Number 4s. Shall we go? Is it 4? Yeah, 4. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Kris, Alfie, whoever wants to go first, go for it.
Okay, well, I'll just continue that level of conversation because Venom, the first one, is my next pick. I feel like it's just a much more competently made film that is much more commercially on brand for a superhero, anti-superhero film, and it is relatively inoffensive to a degree. Why it's not higher on the list for me is because I did find this one. Why am I using this word in perpetuity? And it's kind of getting a bit boring now. But a synonym for that, dull. It is just it is it's very. I remember this movie just being grey, right? It's just this grey movie that even by Morbius standards, it feels like it's corporate grey. For about an hour and a half, and followed by an ending climatic action scene that kind of sucked as well for me. But the only reason why I think it's a more competently made film than Let There Be Carnage. I could watch this one again, and I could follow the story, and I could be like, right, okay, that's a one and done sort of superhero type movie. It's just so middle of the road. Which made it so easy just to plop in the middle of my list. So I have got no passion against or for this movie. It's just sort of the least meh of the whole list for me.
I might as well come in here because it's also my number 4. And for me, it was, again, this was coming out around a time where we had Black Panther coming out in cinemas, and then we weren't far off Infinity Wars, and it felt like some of these characters were being done right. And then you had Sony trying to make a Venom film where Venom's origin is so intrinsically linked to Spider-Man, they had to figure out a way to try half-heartedly do justice to the origin story, but also just kind of throw half of it away and try to do something else with it.
They're kind of going do you like this?
Yeah, it felt like, we know you like how Venom looks, so we're going to try something. But again, it just felt like something so uninspired and boring. And yeah, I think at the time I was just like, who is this for? This is slop, and it's not funny. And yeah, it just felt so dated and uninteresting. And I guess at this time, I was definitely not on board with the comedy aspects of the Tom Hardy Venom relationship, even though they are some of the more kind of entertaining moments of the film. I was just not ready to be on board with that. So it's trying too hard to do different things, but also then not trying hard enough to be a good film. So yeah, but you're right, Kris, it is slightly more competently made than some of the other films on this list. So I guess we didn't know how good we had it at the start. Maybe.
Wow.
It definitely feels like Sony tried harder with the Venom films, even though they don't hold up so well, in my opinion, or at least Let There Be Carnage in the first one. But at least it definitely felt like they were trying a little bit harder, and obviously it paid off for them with the first Venom.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to say we finally have a consensus that Venom
Hey.
is also my number 4. We can agree Venom is the 4th best Spunk film even. Yeah, so yeah, I pretty much agree with you guys. Like, I think I haven't seen this one in years, so my memory of it is fairly hazy. I remember Riz Ahmed is very cheesy in this, like very kind of chewing the scenery as an antagonist.
He's corporate asshole as well, isn't he?
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
a few of those in these films, I feel.
Yeah, there's like a sort of running theme, isn't it, of just like kind of jag-offs that like just no one likes. Yeah.
Buttoned up shirts galore. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. I didn't really get on with the dynamic of Venom. I thought it was like, it felt really like kind of like a movie equivalent of a Monster Energy drink, like this whole film, and it just is kind of
so. That's such a good call. Yeah,
just this general approach. You know, it just feels like, you know, it's like it was made for people that love Monster Energy drinks.
It's made for the people that like have fan fiction about Jared Leto's Joker and Harley Quinn. Like,
yeah,
it feels
right.
Like it's like those people who love that side of like the lore.
There's even
trashy lore. Yeah,
that's right. There's even an Eminem song on the soundtrack, like lead single. So yeah, I mean they know their audience there. It's weird though. It's funny watching it because I've just seen the last 2, and it's like there's all these things I'm like, so they reference that later on, and I was like, really weird, clocking these little things like the shopkeepers, like the running character throughout all the films and stuff like that.
And she popped up in the Spider-Verse films.
That's
or the
right.
second Spider-Verse film as well, doesn't she? That's the one kind of link to these films.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I don't think that this one has any of the kind of the humor of the other Venom films, really. And I mean the humor in the sense that they just kind of they turned them into sort of weird buddy cop films, not buddy cop, but like, you know, like road movies, like Last Dance for some reason. I just didn't have any of that in this film. It's still kind of taking itself a bit too seriously. And I think that the people responded well, apparently, to Tom Hardy and like riffing with himself in that annoying kind of like, I'm Venom. Like, I just don't know what he says.
I've always found that performance a bit odd because it's just like weird, it just feels like a constant hungover person. Like, I never warmed to Eddie Brock in these. Like, he doesn't seem like a very competent.
He's a mess, isn't he? He's like a shambolic kind of like weirdo, basically. It's a weird role for Tom Hardy. I don't really...
and so distant to what he is in the comics. And then, you kind of got this guy, this hot A-lister, and he's just doing this very grubby, very like icky kind of performance.
Disgusting apartment, and he's just kind of like, he's doing that weird, like, I don't know, it's that proper like British stage actor American accent. You know, hey, I'm walking here. It's just like, I don't know about this, man. Like, and Venom's annoying. Like, he's just kind of an annoying.
I think the thing that upsets me watching all 3 of those movies with him is like, he's obviously has a degree of like higher intelligence, right, as a human being, but I never see him like break down and be like, what the fuck is my life now? I mean, like, this is not good. This is kind of shit. Like, like, and he just kind of like plods from set piece to set piece, from location to location, just being this like dumpster fire of a human being that like kills people, to feed a guy that like to feed somebody he warmed to, aka symbiote. His motivations are blurry, to say the least.
It's always interesting to me because there was an element in the third film which we'll talk about later, which I was just like, why did they never hone in on this aspect of the character? And it's the part where he goes up against some people who are dog fighting. He goes up against this gang, and there's this element
set piece,
he has no fear at all because he knows Venom is in him and he can beat up anybody. And I thought that's such an interesting aspect to a character, especially as a reporter. You could go anywhere in the world, ask all the tough questions, get yourself in all the tight, difficult spaces and all this kind of stuff, but never be scared because you know that you could beat up everybody in the room. And I thought that's such an interesting element which they never kind of like focus on, and they could have focused on there if they wanted, because they wanted to do the reporter thing, you know?
Sure.
They definitely did that in like Spider-Man 3, that Venom makes Spider-Man think he's a badass and stuff like that. Like that seems to be the thing with Venom, is that it's like a drug, isn't it? I suppose, but there's never really a realization of that with this character. It's just Venom. Eddie Brock always just feels like shambolic and kind of tragic, really. I guess like. I'm amused that we all had the consensus on Venom there. Middle of the road.
Middle of the road, absolutely. Number threes?
Number three?
Number threes? My number 3 is Morbius. What about you guys?
Well, this might be another consensus pick. It's Morbin time at number 3 for me.
Wow. Mine's Madame Web.
Oh, wow. You really liked the episode.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed that podcast. My number 3 is the Film Angle episode.
That's sweet.
It's a nice tie-in. Like you watch Madame Web, you listen to the episode.
At least you had well, I guess you did, but at the time you were like, I have a reason of seeing this piece of garbage.
Yeah. No, Madame Web for me is fairly amusing, and I think like it's a really bad movie, and it suffers from all of the things that I think Morbius and Kraven the Hunter suffer from. But for some reason, it just makes me laugh. Like it just really tickles me. And he was researching spiders in the Amazon when he died. Is one of the greatest lines ever committed to film, as far as
conveys to the audience what they need to know.
Yes, I was like, I know I don't need they don't need to waste any time with a flashback. Learn your lesson, Kraven the Hunter. That's all I'll say. And I don't know. It's just a really shit film. So that appeals to me.
Is the note to studio executives, if you're 3/4 through a film and it looks like dog shit, don't try to make it mediocre. Just lean into the shit, because Alfie will like it more.
yeah, I have simple taste.
No, not at all. You're right. No, it was crazy that I had bought an IMAX ticket and I was seeing like on a premium format of storytelling,
I love
something that was like that you would you would catch on the B side of a Prime blacklist. Like it was crazy that this thing existed and managed to people are still working after this.
I'm surprised they didn't lean even further into the silliness. Like it's what works for Kraven later on for me. Like these films should have been trashy and lent into it. Not too into it when you're forcing it, but just enough for that.
Just a degree of it, yeah.
Not to be mean again. Like I do think that there are people out there that watch these movies and can't pick it up a little bit. Like when I went to see the movie, like nobody was laughing. Like there was a bunch of kids beside me and they looked like they just seen like Spartacus for the first time. I don't know. But it was like I kept, when you're watching something, so you're so aware of what's going on in front of you, so you end up looking around to see everybody else's reactions. And are so like baffled by the lack of reaction. That's what my experience was when I saw that movie. But you never know.
That's what I wanted in Megalopolis when I went to the cinema to see it, but then I ended up being the only person seeing it, and I wanted that communal experience of what are we watching.
It does make a difference.
Did you see not a tangent, it is a tangent, but did you see Megalopolis?
No, I've not seen that. No, I haven't.
No, it's there's a scene.
You like Madame Web?
if there's John Voight is up to no good in that movie, and I don't know. I don't think he knows where he is. And there's a certain scene in the ending, near the end of that film, that regarding his erection and a bow and arrow. That needs to be seen to be believed, and nobody else but me laughed in that screening. I don't know. I understand it.
It's funny you say that. I mean, not the boner thing. That's no. I can't relate to that.
Funny you should say that.
Funny you should say that, because it just reminded me of when I went to see Venom. I went to see Venom with Lee, Alex, and we were the only people in the cinema laughing the whole way through, because we were like, this film is garbage, like basically, And it's this interesting thing where you go and watch a movie and you kind of want to have that collective experience, but then you realize there are people there, taking it seriously, and you're
just like locked in.
Locked in,
with their Monster Energy drinks.
Monster Energy drinks.
One of those novelty like baseball hats with like the can stuck to the side.
They're not even going to go out and vape. They're just hooked in, and watch the rest of the film. It's that reminded me of that. Like I had that with Venom. I didn't have that with Madame Web. I mentioned on the podcast when I went to see Madame Web, there were two kids in front of me and their dad, and the kids were running around the cinema and jumping into the front bit where near where the screen is. And I genuinely thought about complaining, because I was like, I can't go out there and say there's kids running around in the screen. What film are you watching? Right. Madame Web. I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have come clean and said that was the reason. So yeah, it added to the experience, and it was immersive theater.
The worst.
The worst. Morbius, number 3.
Yeah, Morbius, which is funny because I say lean into the silliness, and Morbius probably is the least silly, even though it is silly in premise, but it doesn't have as many stupid, silly moments that make you laugh. It's kind of dull.
Yeah.
But there's the one element in this film that I like, and it's the kind of only kind of, I guess, character actor in the whole of these series that kind of kept me going. Like, I love this guy, was Matt Smith. I don't even know the name of his villain, but I just the villain role.
Milo.
Yeah. Sorry, Milo. I love that character. I think he's having so much fun with it. And honestly, I could have watched, if it was, I'll watch a supercut of just Matt Smith scenes in those films.
Sure.
I think he was excellent. And I think it kind of paved the way for him to go into like House of the Dragon, where he plays a bit more of he's not like a full-blown villain, but he's a pretty nasty person, but there's fun and all that if you've seen House of the Dragon. But I just thought Matt Smith works in these roles. Like, I'd only ever seen him as like Doctor Who before.
Yeah.
And Prince, one of the
I feel like he's in like Last Night in Soho mode.
No, not Andrew.
Yeah.
Which Prince is he in? Which Prince?
Philip.
Prince Philip. That's it.
Yes.
Prince Philip in The Crown.
Last Night in Soho, that's a good show.
Oh, Last Night in Soho is good. That's
very
after
similar
Morbius,
vibe,
though, right? That's after That's when they knew
Post Morbius.
Post Morbius. That's when they knew he was a good villain.
I think that's the same year.
No.
Oh, okay.
Both 22.
Yeah. I think Last Night in Soho may have been 21.
It was like a COVID movie, wasn't it?
It was a COVID
one of the
film,
first
yeah.
ones. Yeah.
It was pre-Morbius. No,
it was pre-Morbius. Yeah, but I do think you're right though. I do think Matt Smith kind of leans into the fact that he's like a slightly weird guy in this film, and that maybe is that's probably the endearing aspect of that film for me, is that he's just having fun.
Yeah. And you kind of understand his pain, the kind of emotional arc.
Do you?
Sorta. I mean, he does seem like a decent person at the beginning, and then suddenly he's like, this killing people is pretty sexy. I'm really enjoying this.
He gets bullied a lot. Don't bully people.
He gets bullied at the start, doesn't he? Yeah.
And I kind of understand his anger when he's like, give me the serum or the antidote or whatever, and he's like, no, it'll turn you into a vampire. I was like, I don't care. Just
how does he get it again? Does he just suddenly is a vampire, right?
I think he just off camera gets.
Yeah, I hated that. That was a definite cut, wasn't it? They cut 10 minutes out of that film.
Yeah, 100%.
I watched that one pretty much immediately after Venom 2, and both of those films have the character in jail and then breaking out, don't they? Which I thought was quite weird.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and the weird cop side character in this film, played by Tyrese Gibson. It's where's he gone? Another great line from Morbius.
Go on.
Here. There's Tyrese Gibson has his sidekick who's kind of just an idiot detective.
Yeah, odd attempt at humor as well.
Yeah, again, and he's he's like, oh yeah, so the human body contains 12 pints of blood. That's 36 beers. When's the last time you had 36 beers? When's the last time you had any beers? And then Tyrese Gibson just is shut up, move on. I was like, what was that terrible dialogue that they were trying to
develop character. It's almost like they're trying to do the investigative cops from a Saw movie or something like that.
Seven or something, right?
Or Seven, it's like Seven Light. Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah, it's like a weird procedural detective film happening in the background of Morbius that just goes nowhere and is never resolved.
What I'll say is why it's number 3 for me and not lower. It's the first movie I think on this list I don't hate.
Okay.
So it's got that going for it already. I agree with you, Alex. I think Matt Smith is pretty fun in the movie, and he's chewing up the scenery, and I think he at least is giving a performance. I actually think Jared Leto's kind of decent in it. Like I didn't think he was that awful. Like no, I was expecting a lot worse. I think like he picks a tone and he sticks with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
He is trying to play the anti. I think he's the one character in this whole list where, well, apart from Madame Web, like, she's just naturally not a bad, an awful person.
Well, technically, I guess Madame Web isn't a villain.
Yes,
it's weird. She's like the only one that they actually made from a hero.
That's true. That's the outlier here. But like, I feel like Morbius for the most of it, I do kind of buy the inner conflict, and then suddenly 2/3 for the film, I'm just like, oh fuck it. Yeah. my morals stand no more, and then no, they're back. So there's a little bit
He's so emo in the film as well. He's just like constantly emo.
I read that he was like he refused when he was pre living vampire. Jared Leto refused to not use crutches on set, and I got really angry reading that. And I think I read that while I was watching the film, and I was like, oh.
I think
you don't need to be method for Morbius.
Yeah, well, it was funny, like the first scene that they kind of like him and Matt Smith kind of meet again as adults, and then they just instantly go into the street in like pajamas with their crutches in the middle of like the busiest street in the world. And it just like it was a really interesting visual to see them both do Bradley Cooper from the Elephant Man stage version. They're odd choices here, but it is I think this is the simplest narrative to follow. I think like that's the if anything I can get good from this, like this movie, I could like look at my phone if I wanted to for 5 minutes, and I'd probably be okay by the time I looked up. Very late, 90 minutes, simple to follow, has some bonkers dialogue. Alfie, I think I actually this is the one movie I kind of had the notion of maybe writing down some.
I did as well. I don't know why.
Like, I didn't. I just couldn't be arsed at the end of the day. But there's a couple, like what you said. I think there's another 10 golden gems of dialogue in there somewhere.
Some hokey lines for sure. Yeah,
100%. Worst CGI, I think maybe.
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it?
Of the 6 movies. Yeah, like the slow-mo, like every time Matt Smith and Jared have like a fight in the subway or whatever, and then like every random punch has no like dramatic significance, so just we'll slow-mo that one.
That's really ugly, the visual effect choice of how they portray the sort of vampire stuff. It just doesn't look good, does it?
I wish they did the faces differently. I think the faces suck. The CGI faces of when they transition into vampire mode, when they get enough power-ups on their MP. Yeah, it's like I wish they could have done that in a bit more practical way. Would have been more effective.
Do you remember in the 90s show, Alfie? Because that's kind of my only knowledge of Morbius. I don't remember reading any Spider-Man comics with him in or anything like that. But he was quite a prominent player in one of the series of the 90s show. But because he was a vampire, you couldn't have him like biting people's neck and sucking their blood.
Yeah.
So what he wanted was plasma. So he was like, plasma, my plasma, and he would suck people with suckers on his hands.
Oh, amazing! No, I don't. That does sound familiar.
It sounds pathetic.
It was.
It's very
it was great. Yeah. It was great, and it worked into the soap opera because he was dating Felicia Hardy, who was the Black Cat, and Peter Parker also liked Felicia Hardy. So there's like a love triangle thing going on.
Yeah,
he was Spider-Man. He was. Yeah.
So just imagine how good these films could have been if they could have
I gotta watch this show again.
Oh, the 90s show's so good. But when you were talking about Tyrese Gibson earlier, I completely forgot this gem, and it didn't come up in my research, but I remember it happening at the time.
Oh, I know what this is.
You know what this is. So this was around the time that Martin Scorsese was like, these superhero films are theme parks. Like, they're not films. They're like theme park attractions. They're nothing more. And then somebody had created an image which was like a quote attributed to Scorsese saying that he saw Morbius and like this was true cinema and like this was like one of the good ones. And Tyrese Gibson
shared it, didn't he?
He shared it being like, oh, thank you, Mr. Scorsese. This is like a dream come true. Like he later backtracked.
He
later backtracked and was like, oh, I knew it was a joke, but like
He didn't. It's Tyrese Gibson.
He didn't know it was a joke. It felt very honest.
Did Tyrese see the film by that point, or did he hadn't seen Final Cut yet? I don't know.
I feel like Tyrese loves really watches his work and it's like this is good. Like he's Jared Harris has probably never rewatched Morbius. He probably doesn't even know he's in it. Like
yes,
sure.
Exactly. Yeah,
he's great.
But then Tyrese was. I remember when the Fast and Furious feud was going on. Between The Rock and Vin Diesel.
Yes.
And Tyrese pitched in and was like, there's no film without me, and it's sort of like, no one's coming to the Fast and Furious film to see Tyrese. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because he hated The Rock for delaying the films because of this feud. Because he had to pay support money to his ex-wife and daughter, right? So the Fast and Furious films were keeping him afloat.
Okay.
So he was just like, I need these films to get made.
Oh wow, that context makes it even more depressing, doesn't it?
Truly. Truly.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, I do love that. I love that Scorsese thing. That's so funny. There's an edited picture of him at the premiere of Morbius as well. It's too good. It's too good.
Truly is. Number two is for everyone.
Yeah, get into the gold now.
Which I think means that Chris, because I don't think it's come up, I assume your number two and my number two is the same, which would be Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct.
Goodness.
And Alfie, what is yours?
Mine's Venom 2. Let there be carnage.
Yeah. Ooh, which means consensus at the top. So before we do that, all right, Alfie.
Wow.
Tell us about Let There Be Carnage. Then we'll get into Kraven, why it's funny, and then we'll. And I guess we'll go to the best one.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know what it was about Carnage, but maybe it was because it's the first one I've watched in rapid succession. Sure. I just kind of enjoyed the ridiculousness of it. Like you mentioned Woody Harrelson. I mean, people can't see this now, but I'm dressed exactly like him. For this recording. It's a shame this isn't a visual podcast. I've got the hair, I've got the weird red shirt. I mean, he's just, Woody Harrelson's having a great time in this film, and I love that. I don't know, it just really amused me. You're absolutely right about the Red Carnage, or Red Venom just being shit, really. But I kind of enjoyed that they just fully embraced or started to embrace the kind of odd couple dynamic, and it's like a weird rom-com breakup film with Venom going around at a rave and stuff like that. And I was just like, this is hilarious.
Glow sticks on him,
and he does this weird speech that's it's weirdly sort of pro LGBT speech. I was like, okay, this is hilarious, man. This
next
is good
to was it FK Twigs?
Yeah, I know it's Little Sims.
Little Sims, that's it. Somebody even
Sims.
cooler.
I know, right?
Twigs is in the Crow movie.
Yes, I'm getting confused because also Kevin Smith is in the latest FKA Twigs music video.
What?
Oh,
really?
right.
Yes, I'll share it with you later.
Sexual,
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
That's very weird, but cool.
I don't think he directed it, but he's definitely in it.
Random. He just does stuff, doesn't he, Kevin Smith? He's on side quests at this point in his life.
Well, Jay and Silent Bob are coming to Call of Duty.
Shit, man, that's awesome.
And
right?
Alex knows I don't really like Call of Duty, and he sent me the link the other day, and I said, I'm not reinstalling Warzone. It's not taking up 200 gigabytes of my console.
15-year-old me, though.
Jay and Silent Bob.
I mean, that is pretty great. 15-year-old me would have been all over that. That's like a meeting of the minds. Other than that, the Venom Let There Be Carnage just I don't know, it was just really stupid, and it was short. Again, I really based my enjoyment of these films on how long they were, and although that means Kraven the Hunter was 2 hours, wasn't it? That was
in my mind, Let There Be Carnage, my memory of it is the entire movie is nighttime.
Yeah,
is that just
I think you're right.
It just feels like there's always tornadoes of things happening, like smoke and fire and blood and stuff.
The ending is mad with the car and
Isn't there, I remember the slow-mo shot of the car with, is it Naomi Harris is in it?
Yeah, Naomi Harris is Cletus Cassidy's love interest.
That's right, yeah.
Michelle Williams is in these films as well. It's mad.
Is she just in the first one, or did she show up in the second one too?
No, she's in 2 as well.
Stephen Graham's in the second one, and then obviously very weirdly used in the third, but we'll get into that later.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, I kind of, when I saw that he was in the credits for 3, I was like, okay, so he's going to be Toxin, and then they kind of just didn't. Yeah, they didn't really bother with it, did they? They kind of half.
He's the smelly Venom. Yeah,
smelly Venom. I'm Toxin, and now I'm gone.
Yeah, Stephen Graham's doing that same accent, that kind of like, like detective voice. It's great. I was just like, I don't know what I guess he's mates with Tom Hardy or something. I was just like, okay, like
they took each other's notes. Yeah.
It
they
was
both do the English gangster films, don't they? They must have crossed paths at some point.
Yeah. Definitely, there must be that. But no, for some reason it just tickled me, this film. I know it was terrible. I know deep down that it's not a good film, but I don't know. It hit me in a way that like none of the other ones have. So maybe it's recency bias again. I don't know. It's the first of the 4.
Like, this is it. You can't really argue with anybody's picks on the list. It's the purely most subjective ranking we've ever done on the show.
Yeah.
And it's an appeal to the tastes. It's not appeal to the quality because, like, I mean, with
that being said, this is my second best, and my bottom was almost both of your second best choice as well. So I'd love to know why Kraven the Hunter shot so high up in this illustrious ranking.
Alex looks like he's ready to like let his heart out.
I think there was an element of recency bias for this as well. But I think it was more the silly moments in Kraven are so silly that I had to share them with somebody. Like next day I was like, you have to see this part of the film. Like you have to see
the first thing you said.
Yeah, and it was mainly all the stuff to do with Chameleon. I was like, you have to see him singing Harry Styles.
That was weird, wasn't it?
And then turning into Mini Kraven at the end.
Tony Bennett for a minute. Yeah.
Tony Bennett. You have to see the Rhino.
Those I like this song.
Just go.
That was
when
really
he hears
weird,
bad news for a second.
Yeah.
Like there's just too many stupid moments to not enjoy those bits. I thought some of the action was pretty good. I liked the way he jumped around and did things. I thought it was pretty
I think it was like really like, like he's like supposed to be like animal, but didn't it kind of look like he was just going like that whilst being like yanked up with a wire? Like, there was no there was no like animalistic movement. It was just Aaron Taylor Johnson like wiggling his arm.
That's true. I'm trying to think of other silly moments, like when he gets the coat at the end and he immediately just goes to sit on the chair like half topless. Looking at himself, obviously recreating like famous comic book covers, but at the same time, it just doesn't work.
It's more like some sort of like Corella DeVille cosplay sort of thing.
I love that his dad got him this like weird tiny lion waistcoat made. It's like too small for you, but you can't exchange it. So sorry. And he's just there in his little crop cut.
Man,
what is going on here?
I think like the thing with both of these films in the top 2 on the list. This is the fun territory of the list now for me. I agree with you, Alex. I think the action is just so fucking dumb in this movie. It's a shame it's not as often as it is, but the set pieces are usually quite elongated, and they're a lot. Like I think the sequence of him trying to chase down his brother in London is like my favorite sequence in all 6 of these movies. It's just completely hilarious and bizarre. These guys just can't get away from him in the car, and they try to get rid of him and throw him off the car, and he just clings on for dear life. And at the end, when they try to escape on the helicopter,
he somehow gets there, doesn't he?
Net like around the helicopter and ties it to him. It's like
great.
It's amazing. It has to be seen to be believed. I mean, nobody really reacts. They're just like, oh yeah, we got to ship him off again. It's like nobody want to talk about how crazy that motherfucker was. They just tried to kill us.
It also has like the most Spider-Man characters in it, so maybe that appealed to me. Because obviously you got Chameleon. I think there was like mentioning of like Miles Warren, Calypso, obviously all the different Kraven-offs and all that kind of stuff. So like maybe there was an element of that appealed. Maybe I don't know.
See, I didn't have any of that going into. I didn't know we were going to get that Chameleon reveal at the end. It was just like, why is he doing impressions of everybody? I was like, that's an odd choice for the character.
I mean, if they ever wanted to use him against Spider-Man, it just doesn't make sense because he hates bad people. and he doesn't kill animals or anything like that. And the whole thing with Kraven in the comics is like he's a big game hunter, and Spider-Man is the animal that is like top of the food chain to him, and it would be a reward.
The most dangerous game.
An insect at the top of the food chain.
Because it's Spider-Man.
He's a man and a spider.
He kills Spider-Man.
Not a lot of protein in a spider, though.
In one of the most famous Spider-Man comics, Kraven's Last Hunt, he kills Spider-Man, and Spider-Man comes back to life just through sheer will of wanting to save Mary Jane.
I love it.
So it was also interesting as well how he became like a protector of like animals within the
anti-poachers,
anti-poachers and all that kind of stuff, which, may I say, does a terrible job because he always arrives after they've killed him. He never protects the buffalo.
Leave it all up.
He hears them after they've killed them all, and then he turns up and he's like, "That was bad." Do your job, man. If you're going to be a protector of these animals, like, get there before the killing starts.
Yeah. Too busy trying to be sexy when he's protecting these animals too. Like, just smoldering at people before he kills them.
Do you think they made him into like a conservationist to sort of make it more appealing because like they kind of want you to root for him a little bit, don't they? 100%. Obviously. And like, obviously him being just an animal killer would just be really unpleasant to watch, really, wouldn't it? So,
it would be a disaster.
Think, like, what does Sony want with these films? These are villains. They are bad people. True.
I know. I think they should have gone more in on it. Me and Em, because I forced them to watch the last two with me.
Poor thing.
I know. Yeah, she's heavily pregnant as well, so this is not an okay thing to do.
Get me to the hospital.
yeah. She's willingly going into labour just to avoid watching Kraven. We were talking about it, and she just didn't understand. She was like, "Aren't they all bad guys?" And I was sort of like, "Yeah, I don't really know why they've tried to make them good. They could have gone down like the James Gunn Suicide Squad route of being like, they're forcibly being good, but they could have just been evil in their own right, couldn't they? I don't know. It's like they just didn't think the audience would be on board with anti-heroes, despite the fact that
we don't know how to structure the story. Yeah, we don't know what does that movie look like. We don't know.
They've been ignoring the prevalence of anti-heroes in pop culture for like the last 30 years or something. But there you go. I thought, it did bother me that like Kraven. I really thought Kraven Hunter was going to be a villain in it, but like, they really tried to make him a nice guy, didn't they?
And it also doesn't make sense because I think this was originally supposed to come out and it got delayed around the time that the Spider-Man 2 video game was coming out. Which obviously Kraven is one of the main villains in that game. So you would have had this like massive resurgence of people knowing who Kraven was, followed by a Kraven film. So you probably would have got more people going to see it. So that didn't make sense to me either. But yeah, I mean, I had fun with it. I'm not rushing to watch it again or anything like that. But like, if you tell me I had to watch one of these films that isn't our first film again, I'd be like, yeah, I guess I'd put Kraven on for some of the
one of the longer movies as well.
Antics. Yeah. Funny that like they clearly didn't film one piece of the conservationist stuff in Africa. Every animal, even when it's on the ground dying, is CGI.
Even when its head is in the house, like the lion, like eyes on the wall, it's a CGI head. Could you not have at least done something there?
Yeah, just make some props here, somebody. None of that made sense. The use of the foreigner with these weird superpowers, which again, that he's like just
could have been completely extracted from the film. Yeah,
that was another inconsequential narrative, wasn't it? It just felt. It's like, again, it's like the overbloating of like Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 2, but like it's just never going to go anywhere because it's like. Because they kill them all off as well. They just kill most of the characters in this film, don't they? So
it was cool to see the Rhino in kind of like a slightly more kind of comic booky way than just like an armored suit. Like it's still a costume in the comics, and he's really dumb in the comics. Like it's a suit that somebody puts on him and he can't get off, so he just constantly looks like a rhino.
I think that's better. I like that. That's hilarious.
But yeah, it was kind of a boring villain.
He's kind of like a dumb guy. He's a pseudo intellectual in a way. Like he is like completely impulsive and like thinks he's got the upper hand, but really,
loved his haircut at the start.
Was it all ultimately that he was just pissed off that Russell Crowe's character just sort of like
was mean to him.
Yeah, and that's the whole like, but then also it turns out that Russell Crowe was in on it the whole time, and it was just like, what?
Yeah, he's basically Guy Pearce from Iron Man 2.
Oh yeah,
like
isn't he?
Like less motivation, but yeah.
You're
mean to me once. Now I made it my whole life's work to kill you. Yeah,
which is also kind of Electro in Spider-Man 2 as well.
That's true as well. Yeah, it's a very common trope though, isn't it? The kind of
the
and
guilt, a lot of the Spider-Man characters are quite interesting. Like they're quite morally grey, and like you can feel sympathetic for them because usually their powers come from an accident. So it's quite funny that they just keep going down this route of like, they just hate him. They just hate him. You're like, okay, it was a bit lazy. I mean, this whole thing's lazy. I think that's the problem with the Sony universe. Like, it is quite lazy. Not as lazy as when they were just like, everything comes from Oscorp in Amazing Spider-Man 2. We'll quickly do the Sinister Six. But it still feels pretty lazy.
It's certainly like an unearned franchise. It's like, I feel like people were hoodwinked into going to watch these films on the off chance there might be like a Spider-Man reference or something.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, and they get increasingly more vague, and like, you know, he has his nightmare and the spiders falling on him in Kraven the Hunter, and like they have really random post-credit cameos from like Michael Keaton and stuff. It always just feels like they're just like, it's like the waiting for Godot, but like you're just waiting for Spider-Man franchise, basically. The existential like superhero franchise where like the character never comes and never will. Like it's that's Should we talk about?
Should we get into the one where it works?
Does it?
So everyone's number one is Venom: The Last Dance.
The Last Dance.
And
memories.
Do you know why I think this works? Is because I think it sheds all the Spider-Man stuff. It doesn't try to make a Spider-Man story. Null is a character, but whatever. Like it sheds all the mythology, and it's just like, actually, this is the first true sequel to the Venom films we created. We're leaning into the silliness.
Yes.
We're leaning into the character dynamic.
The one victory lap of the franchise. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just going to be a film about our Tom Hardy Venom. And it's like, that works. You're not trying to capitalize on anything. And I had a lot of fun with this film. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I watched this by myself, and I still laughed a lot. Alfie, how did you feel about last time? I was so surprised actually to see it your number one. Seeing where the start of the list was going. I'm interested to see how we got here.
I mean, it moved. I sort of rewrote this today. I had an initial, and I was like, actually, that one was fun. For some reason, it just it didn't make me enough necessarily intentionally, but it had me kind of like I'd look up and he was suddenly doing like a disco dance, elaborate. What was the song?
Oh, the Vegas sequence,
wasn't it? Yeah, the Vegas sequence. Yeah, this movie's just absolutely bonkers. It's balls to the wall, bizarre, and it opens with this weird like is that Sandy Serkis, isn't it? It's this kind of goth video game character being all that's Knoll, I guess. Knoll,
No.
Yeah, and he's just kind of monologuing, and like, you're just like, we've got to send them to like Earth, or it was just okay. Is this Venom? Like, have I watched the wrong film? And then it just goes into this like it picks up from the post-credit scene that a lot of people wouldn't have seen.
Yes.
From Venom 2.
Where
Eddie Brock,
and a little bit of Far From Home, so we're even like continuation of a No Way Home, a continuation of an MCU film very slightly as well, because it's the post credits of that film as
That's
well.
right, it is.
God.
Yes,
the less you know, the better, honestly.
But it's like there's some. I watched again. Me and them watched this one, and hadn't seen any of them. So she was just like, "Why does Tom Hardy?" Is like Tom Hardy's like in a monologue, when he's like, she didn't. And I was like, yeah, it is. No, I was just like, it's crazy that he's just like. Without like, if you're coming in at Venom 3, you're just like, what the hell is going on here? What's Tom Hardy doing? But I don't know. It just made me laugh for some reason. And it's like a weird road movie. It's bizarre. Like
and Sony can't help but just like tease you a little bit with the thought that this could be connected by bringing in Risa fans who played the Lizard into this film to then just play a random like UFO enthusiast.
The most stereotypical hippie family that ever lived. Like every, they went to the nearest hippie store and bought every sticker and put it on their van.
Yeah, like just insane, like, and a VW van and everything as well, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
But when they the moment where they sing Starman all together,
Alex broke down and cried.
I had like this massive beaming grin on my face. Like I was really,
I did too.
That was just such a wholesome moment. I really enjoyed it. I was like,
completely manipulated.
This making me feel good.
Have you seen bloody Almost Famous? It's the same scene.
I haven't actually seen Almost Famous, so I wasn't aware of the reference.
Oh, okay. I don't even know if it is this like a reference, but it's like there's this in Almost Famous. They all sing on the bus. Like I can't remember what song it is. I think it's Rocket Man or something. And it's like it's to suggest that they've all bonded. And it's like it happened in this film, and I was just like, okay. Like,
but you're seeing this inner turmoil with Eddie. He's like, do I join in? Do I sing? But no, I can't. I'm not there. I'm not quite there yet. Yeah.
And the symbiote action is quite fun at the end, where you get all the different people getting the goo on them.
Yeah, that was fun.
And having to fight the symbiote dogs. And again, that whole Vegas dance sequence is funny because it's just like so stupid because he knows that doing that would bring the symbiote dog over to him. And then also there's the element of like they just kind of like throw out the rule book of the previous films. Like the loud noises isn't really a thing so much because he can now jump on the back of an airplane and that not be a problem. Like whereas I think it flew over his head in Venom 1 and he's like, ah!
Yeah. There's no more logic anymore at this point.
There's like zero logic.
Even the bit in Vegas where he tries to get he steals the suit off the guy, off the door bouncer. Like even that stuff's like. It's so side quest. Like this movie is probably got the most variety out of all the films in it. Like most locations, most dynamic shit going on. I mean, like, it is all. It's all crap, but it's funny. It's junk food. And I really kind of had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it did tickle me for sure. I for much the same reasons. I was just like, this one's just having fun. I mean, like, something you just said there that I was going to draw on the lack of logic. It was like that everyone can just be a symbiote now is just like it's just great. It's just everyone gets their chance, don't they? Yeah. At the end, but I mean, a lot of it was quite inconsequential as well. Like the hippie family didn't really have any reason to be there, really. Like it was a bit of kind of like
close encounters trying to be there. Yeah.
And obviously Noel just kind of goes nowhere, doesn't it? Like he sends all of his dogs, and then he's like, "Oh, now I can attack Earth" or something. But I did love that it was like. It's called The Last Dance. Like, "Till Death Do They Part" is the tagline. There's a song on it called "One Last Dance" on the soundtrack, and throughout the film, Venom is just like, "I would love to see the Statue of Liberty. I would love, maybe we should have lived this life." It's like they're gonna kill Venom. It's so obvious, isn't it?
And then when he's looking at the Statue of Liberty at the end, they're playing Maroon 5 memories, and then the montage at the end of all three films. Like that is the bit that ultimately completely sealed the deal as why this movie was number one for me.
It's unearned though, isn't it? It's so unearned to be there, like memories, eh?
Yeah, considering how much we hate the other two films. Kind of like, why am I tearing up at this montage of the films I didn't like?
I don't know about tearing up, Alex. That's a bit too far. But like, I was just crying at the absurdity. Like it is on paper, it's so cringe, but it goes like a step above that it's just like it just completely earns it for some reason.
One of you said victory lap is so funny to think of, just like it's just like a really unearned pat on the back, isn't it? Like, well, look what we did, guys. Like it's just
good work. A lot of people love these movies a lot. Like, and I mean,
do they though?
They've dropped in box office, haven't they? This by this point, this is making like what 400 million or something, and
people
down from the glory days. Yeah, probably just overcrowding the market a little bit by releasing 3 in a year, but I don't know.
Yeah, the fact that nobody told me Venom: Last Dance was good, I'm a little bit sad about.
Yeah, I wish I saw this in a cinema with like-minded people, obviously.
Well, I think, Chris, you came over mine like the weekend after we watched it, and I was just like, I wish we knew, because that would have been a good one to watch together.
Yeah, like, and we made the same mistake with Kraven, right? We were like, I think it was me. I said like, I can't be bothered. Can I watch this when I get home or something like that? And I wish I did. But yeah, that's how it goes.
There you go. Yeah, I do like this one more than I dislike it, and it's surprising because it's all the parts of the first two films that I didn't like when I watched those first two films. But it's almost like that level of stepping away from it and being like, I don't care about these films anymore. I know they're never going to have Spider-Man in them, and it doesn't matter. I think this film, like, just like let its hair down a little bit and was just like, let's just have some fun with the stupidity that we've brought into the world.
Well, maybe that's it. You've hit the nail on the head there, because the top 3 for me are the films that I just watched over the last 2 weeks. So maybe it's just a headspace that I'm at now, where the stakes are so low for me that I can just go into this at an entry level, just take it for the schlock that it is. But I do still think I still think if I watched all of these back to back, I'd feel the same way.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I should have rewatched Venom and Madame Web to definitively say where they fit in my rankings, because I don't know. Maybe I'm being kind to those films, and maybe I'm being cruel to Morbius, for example, a movie that deserves more love, perhaps.
But apparently so.
No, man. The Last Dance was the second to last one I watched, and again, it was just lean and it was ridiculous, and I don't know, it didn't take itself in any way seriously, and I think that was really what worked in its favor, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It didn't matter that there was no Spider-Man or anything, or that there were no links, because it was the victory lap for one of the most kind of middling franchises of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And why
take a bow, Venom?
Why were we crying? You know.
I just want to say I wasn't crying. I just
come on, guys. This is a safe space. Why were we crying?
So I guess all there is to do now is to kind of push the coffin or the boat, or in Viking terms, push the boat into the sea and light it on fire now and say goodbye.
Let Calypso use her archery skills to light it on fire, I suppose.
Great cool.
S-tier character.
Very cool.
Yes, S-tier character. S-tier franchise. Yeah, I mean, thank you for letting me be here to take part in this moratorium, really. I mean...
Well, I mean, we were going to ask you to sing Amazing Grace in memory.
In the Venom voice.
I was going to ask you to do the Memories song. Memories, bring back memories.
That's only, I knew all the lyrics. I joined in.
The Maroon 5 one.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to sing that, and then if we were a visual podcast, we would have clips of Madame Web episode from a year ago. Come on.
Yeah, memories.
Not much visual variety going on there in that collage.
just the same photo, smiling over and over again. We should stage some photos recreated from our favorite moments from this franchise, and do a little montage. So I don't have time for this. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, that does sound like a lot of work.
It does, doesn't it?
Everybody submit 2. All right, favorite moments. Submit 2. I'll chuck them on Instagram. I'll hold you both to that. That's going to be part of our advertising. All right.
Right, fine. 2 moments from this franchise that we loved.
Yeah, I'll compile them in an Instagram post. We'll play the Memories song.
Excellent. Sure. Tears in my eyes.
Okay, so it's gonna be Fisherman's Net with the helicopter and Vegas dancing. Has to be.
Oh man, I was gonna do Vegas dancing.
Okay, well I'll let you have that one, and I'll think outside the box.
Yeah. All right, fine.
All right, if I'm doing it, then it's Starman moment in Venom, and the Harry Styles song in Kraven.
Oh my god, all the musical moments. I love it.
The music's doing it for me.
I'll do the toxic Britney Spears fight scene from Madame Web.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that.
And Matt Smith's dance from Morbius as well.
Brilliant. Oh, yeah. Can't wait to put these together.
Yeah, all the dancing moments for me.
There you go, guys. See,
it was the last dance, guys. After all,
if you've listened to this episode early, then you have a little insight as to one of our future Instagram posts.
That's great. R.I.P. A weird and confusing moment in Hollywood history.
Yeah. Do you think it's over?
Well, they're doing the TV thing, aren't they? Like the Nick Cage thing, isn't that connected to it in some way? Or
I don't think it's connected as far as I'm aware. But yeah, you're right. They are doing Spider-Man Noir, Amazon Prime TV show with Nicolas Cage. But
I don't know. I mean, Venom feels like they've left it open if they wanted to carry on, but I can't see it happening myself.
Whenever they run out of money next.
Yeah, exactly.
And get desperate. But I feel like Marvel with Secret Wars are probably going to want to use the black suit and stuff like that. So, because in the comics, is Secret Wars where Spider-Man gets his black symbiote suit. So maybe they want to do that.
Do you think they'll have? Do you think
he hated himself when he said that?
Yeah, I could feel you dying as you said all of that.
It's like the first line. He was like, "I've committed to this.
I'm going to keep going." I know. It's like when I did a Venom voice at some point on this podcast.
No, I feel bad. I'm off to New York on Sunday, and I'm not as big a Spider-Man fan as I once used to be. I am still a big Spider-Man fan, but. Like, I'm not even going with a Spider-Man T-shirt or anything. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Yeah.
But I do have.
Kraven the Hunter jacket replica.
Yeah. I do have a little. I'm going to a couple places, and I want to go to like Midtown Comics, one of the big comic book shops over there. So maybe I'll pick up some stuff and just like try to get back into that energy again.
Do you miss it?
Yes and no.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun in 2009, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was great,
and all the years after that.
Do you think 10 year? Yeah.
Do you think, like, are you excited about where comic book movies are going now? Like with Marvel's endless announcement of.
Oh, I think they've never been in better shape.
Really?
Yeah. Like there's no secret. I think Alex would probably be like, you would like Alex. I'm speaking for Alex here, but he probably would like them to come back and be good movies. You know, like we all want to see good films, but yeah. I mean, it's hard to see the industry hemorrhaging in this way, and it is. You know, it's like the movie Western. It's like what used to be profitable is now not, and like how do we pivot from that? So it does suck to see, but inside myself, I'm like, I hate being obligated to see these movies because for the most part, I don't enjoy them anymore. Apart from the odd outliers like Venom: The Last Dance, but yeah, it's such a conflicted feeling because it's just like. It's the mediocrity I just can't deal with. Like Captain America that we just had there was just, it wasn't like these movies where that was just painfully mediocre to me, where I was just like, I'm not having fun here. Like I checked out as soon as I left the cinema. So yeah, it's just like, I don't know where the future is of this. It just seems to be dying, right?
Feels like it's kind of hit his peak, isn't it? I mean, the desperate kind of Marvel stuff feels. I don't know. To me, it just feels a bit sad. Just being like Patrick Stewart's back, like like, really.
It is kind of sad, isn't it? It's like it's quite funny to see them pandering in this way when they never used to.
No, they didn't have to,
or at least it didn't feel like they were.
No.
But I almost wonder as well. Sometimes I wonder if because I've seen like in the early days of the Marvel universe, it was like I can't believe they're doing this from the comics.
Yeah, right,
like it was like this big thing, but now it's like they just do it all. And to middling effect that it's not got the same weight. So I wouldn't say I was excited for any of these, but yeah, Chris, you're right. I want them to be good because I like the stories and I want them to be done well. But yeah, the only thing that got me excited recently was the new Daredevil TV show because I like the ground level superhero stuff. I like the New York superhero stuff. That's why I like Spider-Man, and Daredevil kind of falls into that place.
Sure.
And I just love. It's just such a much more interesting character, and they're kind of getting it right in the show, despite the fact that it's meshed together from like a very cancelled version of that show that then they brought in showrunners. But because Marvel were trying to course correct, but I'm glad they're doing that because it could have been awful.
Yeah,
and you could see the remnants of something bad within this messy show, but I still love it. It's he did a flip the other day over a building and swung with his batons, and I went, yes! I haven't done that as a superhero thing in a long time.
That's great. That's great. Yeah,
I'm happy for you, man.
That little draw. But that's what's funny about these films is that none of these particularly feel like superhero films, do they? These Sony Spider-Man adjacent movies. They just sort of are like weird genre flicks that are somewhat connected to superheroes adjacently, but not really.
Yeah, Kraven felt like some sort of like jacked up Arnie film in those action sequences at times. Yeah.
Super gory Kraven, wasn't it? By the way, like
the post added in CGI blood.
Yeah, because it was like you could definitely feel like it was a film that probably should have been a 12A, but then they just added in a bunch of like motherfuckers,
exploding heads, and
one guy got like ripped in half by a tree trunk. I thought was pretty cool, but then like none of it was that. Like there wasn't enough to warrant a 15 or anything, but even
was
though
it not 15?
Oh, okay. It was, but like it didn't feel.
I know it did get super gory at times.
Felt like it was a 12A throughout most of the film, though.
Yeah,
I mean they were kind of like there was people were upset when Venom wasn't 15. Weren't they? I seem to remember back when that first came out.
Yes,
because Venom's obviously quite vicious in the comics, but I don't know. Venom: The Last Dance not really resembling in any way a superhero film. Or what I would imagine a Venom film being like happens to be my favorite. So and yours as well. So like, who knows?
There we go. Well, should we call it quits now? Should we call it?
Yeah, I don't know if there's any more that can be said at this point, guys.
I think we've paid it the due respect that it deserves.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
R.I.P.
Okay, coming up on the podcast, as I said, I'm going away, so it's a mixed schedule going forward. We have interviews, we have some more Ghibli angles, but on top of that, in the midst of me going away and then Kris going away, we're going to do a Films That Streaming Forgot, an old series, very old series. We haven't done one in a long time, where we watch films on streaming services that are so deep down in the depths of it that nobody knows what those films are, and we're going to watch one and review them. And today we've asked Alfie to decide what that film is going to be when we come to record that soon.
Amazing. I went deep on this. I wanted to find something that was truly forgotten by your definition. And I have for you a movie that came out last year. It's called Sentinel. It's on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
And I cannot find a professional review for it.
Is it like a made for Paramount Plus film?
I don't know.
I'm typing it in now. I can't even find it.
Is this subtitled or is it in English?
I'm pretty sure it's in English because it's got English actors in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, 2.6 on IMDb.
It's 90 minutes long, Alex. It's 90 minutes long.
Thank God.
Yeah, don't worry. I wanted to pick something short.
No, man. So this is like a sort of like a Firefly sort of like wannabe thing. Have you ever watched that show? That was a good show back in the 2000s.
Oh, the Joss Whedon one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that was a classic show. I don't know if you can compare this.
But I know you know what I mean. It's like it's going for that.
Oh yeah,
like
maybe. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it involves time travel. I to be honest with you, I know nothing about this. I just I want you to watch something.
Well, I got a short blurb here. Years after an alien invasion, 3 heroes decide to time travel to save the survivors, but they don't know that the Sentinel is waiting for them.
Yes, that sounds good.
Mystery. So there's a little bit of horror element here too.
It's good.
I can see from the little trailer. It doesn't look like it looks like a sci-fi channel. Like it doesn't look like it. Like some shots don't look awful. Like it doesn't look like a piece of. Okay, that looked bad.
I thought it looked like a film. You know, when you watch like a TV show or a movie and they've got a film in it, and they don't have. It looks really
like
cheap.
Like Fallout, like they're watching the TV or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
It looks a bit like that.
Yeah. It looks like a cheap movie that's in the background of a film. So like,
wow.
I can see that. I've just had a quick look at the featured reviews on IMDb. So bad, don't waste your time. Oh my God, it's so bad. Oh my gosh, this was awful. So bad is bad. 90 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
Well, I mean, you're welcome.
Subjective, right?
Yes, yeah,
Thanks, Alfie.
So look, some people didn't like Venom: The Last Dance, so like
that's true. That's so true. We always go into these things hoping for the best, don't we, Chris?
I feel like these people who write in the reviews are people that were actually expecting this movie to be good, so that gives me not much credibility from their point of view. So I'm pretty neutral on this. I'm looking forward to it.
Good stuff. I went Paramount Plus. I mean, like, Amazon is bad to the point that you find stuff on there that is just like, I don't even like how that got on there. But Paramount
it didn't pass
Plus
the check. Yeah,
didn't pass the check. Paramount Plus has some really bad stuff though, so I was like, they'll go a little deep dive there for you and find something. So I'm excited to see what you say, and then I might watch it as well. So I'm gonna watch it so I can understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, please do.
Well,
yes.
Thank you for that, Alfie. We are going to record, we're going to record that at some point in the next few weeks, and it'll also be out at some point in the next 3 to 4 weeks, maybe. Schedule's all over the place at the moment, but we have got episodes coming. No breaks for the foreseeable. We've been preparing. It's all
good. We try.
Yeah, we tried pretty hard. We tried really hard for this. But Alfie, and also it's worth saying, if anybody's new here, Alfie made the logo for the Film Angle, the new one, and the music that you hear throughout the show. He did all of that. He's amazing. So we thank him for that, because people actually come on the podcast now. They think it's the real deal.
Oh man, well, I love doing that stuff, and I will work up a little films that streaming forgot graphic for you as well. Get something going for that if you like.
Amazing.
That's so kind. Yeah,
thank you so much. That would be amazing.
Cool. So good.
Thank you for coming on to chat more about the SPUMC films. And
thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
We'll have to bring you back in if they do.
If anything changes, yeah.
If anything changes, we'll be giving you a ring.
Yeah.
I'm not kind of hoping it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah. But let's not wait. Let's just do a anniversary review of Madame Web every year.
10 years on.
The Criterion release will be in a couple of years anyway. It's fine.
The film that changed cinema. But thank you very much, Alfie, for joining us today.
Guys. Thanks for having me on.
So that has been the episode for this week. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating or review. We really do appreciate it. If you'd like to keep up to date with us, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Film Angle.
We also have a Film Angle playlist, so if you want to listen to what we listen to, you can find that in the show notes. Be sure to catch us next week for more cinematic discussions. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.